Hi, and welcome to the virtual workshop Resume. What are employers looking for? As you know, our office, the Roseville Career Center, is currently closed and workshops are canceled due to social distancing. My name is Jessica Conant, and I typically teach the Resume workshop in our center. I'm really happy to be able to deliver this information to you in an alternate format. Today, we will be talking about the purpose of a resume, some general guidelines, different types of resumes, and what categories can or should be included in resumes. Have you ever wondered what the purpose of a resume really is? It is literally your marketing brochure. It's your first introduction to a new employer. Your resume should identify what you have to offer and what contributions you can make to a new position. It should be targeted directly to the specific job and employer that you're applying to. Yes, that means that every single resume you send could be different than the last. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all resumes. When you're using references for an application, make sure you contact them and give them a heads up. Then send them a copy of your resume so they can be up to date on what you've done and what you're working toward. Some employers will use resumes to structure the interview, asking you questions based directly on what you've detailed. The main purpose of a resume always is to get you an interview. Let's go over some general guidelines of resumes. The length of a resume is typically one page, but it can be more. If you choose to have a two-page resume, make sure you know why. Be intentional about it. Is it because you're having a hard time letting go of some of the amazing things you've done? Or is it because everything you have included directly relates to the new position? Remember to be intentional. Use your white space. Take a look at your resume, and if you see a lot of space in one corner or on the side that's not being used, add to your bullet points. I recommend using a standard font like Calibri or Arial. You can see the words and what they look like here. Fonts like Times New Roman can be more challenging to read and are not as accessible due to being serif. Serifs are the small decorative lines that come off the ends of letters and are found on most letters in Times New Roman or Georgia. Calibri and Arial are called sans serif or without serifs. You want to do everything possible to make your resume easy to read, and this is just one little tip. 10 to 12 point text is best, 11 is really the sweet spot. Be consistent throughout. Think about the space between your bullet and the words, where and how things line up on the page, and your word tense. Use all past or all future tense. Be consistent. Every section should be clearly identified to make it easy for the employer to find the information they need. I suggest not using a template. Templates can make it very difficult to edit later when you are adding or taking away information and can limit the creativity of what your resume looks like. More guidelines. Unless the job posting specifically identifies a different format, always submit resumes as a PDF. No matter how old or new their computer system is, PDF will always open with the original formatting. This is not true for a Word doc. If the employer has a different version than you, your formatting could look very different on their computer. Proofread, 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 then proofread some more. Have someone else look at it too. If you've ever written an essay or a long paper, you will know that during writing, we begin to hear the ideas or intention of what we are physically writing and not what's actually on the paper. Our mind might gloss over a grammar or spelling error because it's seeing what we mean over what we wrote. Read it slowly and out loud to see what you hear. Broken record over here, but make sure that you tailor each resume to the job, not to your experience. Only include what is going to make the employer think, wow, they have everything I'm looking for. I like to print the job description, highlight all the skills I have, and then make sure they are included in my resume, deleting skills that have nothing to do with the new position. Use their keywords and phrases. If the job description is not robust, look on onetonline.org for a generic job description. Every job you can imagine is listed there. Word tense I mentioned before, but it bears mentioning again. Be consistent. all past tense, or all present tense. Make your resume easy to read and follow. Think about the structure of your sentences. Do they flow? Are they easy to understand? Is my resume visually pleasing? We're only going to talk about two types of resumes today, chronological and functional. Chronological resumes are the most common and easily recognizable formats around. They are great for people who have worked in the same or related field for a long length of time and who are looking for work in the same or similar field. Chronological resumes showcase your employment and educational history in reverse chronological order. Most recent experience is near the top. Here's an example. The person has their professional experience listed with bullets under each job to identify skills from that job. The second type of resume we will go over is a functional resume. A functional resume is great for people who are changing careers, recent graduates, or have a gap in their employment history. This format emphasizes abilities over work history and focuses on the skills relevant to the job you are applying for. Your skill section should look very similar to the job description. As you can see from the sample, this person worked in customer service, and she determined that reception and customer service, scheduling and meeting coordination, and administrative support are the three main skill sets needed in her field. She was then able to add supporting details about what she had actually done below them. Her employment history and education is listed more toward the bottom of the page. Remember, our eyes are drawn to the top third of the page. This is where we want the most relevant information to be. There are many options for categories and how to name them on your resume. The first should always be your contact information. Your name should be larger than the rest of the text. There's no reason to put your physical address. No one is mailing you an invitation for an interview. Add your LinkedIn link. This allows your resume to be targeted to the job, and the employer can see your entire history online. Make sure you include your area code and set up your voicemail. If your name is not listed, employers might not know it's the right number and may not leave a message. Check your messages often and delete them. You don't want to miss an opportunity because your voicemail box is full. Think about creating a new email only for job search. This will allow you to not miss any important communication. Think about how professional your email sounds. Consider one with just your name at gmail.com. Resumes typically have some type of objective or summary at the top. If you like an objective, make it clear and concise, job title and company. You can also center and bold the job title at the top of the page. People can also have professional summaries near the top. Here is an example of one that is clear and allows you to use key skills. This is usually 3 to 4 lines and begins with job titles, then lists current skills, then past achievements. This should be centered with the lines fairly even so that aesthetically it looks clear. Unless you're a recent graduate, education should go near the bottom of the page and should be listed in reverse chronological order. The type of degree is what is important and should be listed before the school. Here's an example. If you have a bachelor's degree, you do not need to add to your associates. It's up to you whether or not you include the date you graduated. If you have specific questions, I will give you a way to contact us at the end of this presentation. When writing my accomplishment skill statements, I like to have power verbs list in front of me. Each bullet you use should begin with a strong verb. Try not to overuse the same ones. You can Google power verbs for resumes and come up with many examples and lists. Remember to only include skills that you think are important for the position you applied for. If you previously worked in sales and are transitioning to administrative, they may not need to see your increased sales skills as much as your detail orientation or computer skills. And again, proofread. This is one of my favorite examples of the importance of quantifying and describing your many amazing skills. We often downplay what we do and how we do it. Let's take a look at this example. Job title, Super Mario Brothers player, and the change to expert. Now, we can't all change our job titles, but if we have spent time volunteering or self-employed, maybe we can beef those up a bit. Next, asked to play by friends. Accurate, but could be better if recruited to join elite team that placed first in tournaments 3 years in a row. Wow, what a difference. They added numbers, quantifying what that actually looked like. Next, played several levels. Change to add details and hard facts. Exceeded 1 million points in finals each year, earning MVP trophy in 2019. And lastly, navigated obstacles, barrels, monkeys. Again, very accurate, but it could be looked at like this. Specialized in turning sharp corners with high hand dexterity, leading to a 17% advantage over competitive teams. Now, I have no idea how the 17% was determined, but it sure does sound more impressive than the original. Every bullet you add needs to be a skill you do possess. We can stretch the idea with words, but it still needs to be accurate and have the ability to be backed up. And lastly, gaps in employment. How do we cover them up? Think about what you did while not working. Did you volunteer in anything? Do any project or piecework? Instead of listing your section work experience, you could say relevant experience, and then you could add things like volunteering in a school or for community service. Here are a couple examples of how to list your past years to show no gaps, but also explain a bit of what you were doing at the time. Stay-at-home parent, family of four, energized to return to work. This shows enthusiasm for getting back into the workplace. Or returning to work after a period of personal exploration and growth. Now you don't have a gap. I primarily work with people with disabilities and have seen people write things like health concerns now resolved and then the years. And here we are at the end. So, what to do now? Spend some time working on your resume and implementing some of what you learned today. If you would like a critique via email, send the Word doc to jobs@goldensierra.com with the subject line Resume Workshop. One of our business specialists will take a look and get in touch with you soon. Thank you so much for joining us during this uncertain time. Although we are closed, we are here to help and will continue to provide all services we can. If you would like to speak with someone by phone, call 916-746-7722 and someone will return your call in 1 to 2 business days.